I'd like to call the Harper Creek Board of Education regular meeting for Monday, August 11th, 2025 to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Halverson. Here. Mrs. Reisner. Mrs. Watterson.
Here.
Mrs. Allward, I'm here. Mrs. Wallace.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
And Mr. Bess.
I am present.
We have a quorum.
All right, thank you for that. Mr. Ridgway, we have no modifications to the agenda, correct?
There are no modifications to the agenda tonight.
All right. We'll move on to communications and president's remarks. I'd like to thank all in attendance here tonight and those viewing on YouTube. August is here, so lots of back-to-school excitement. Fall sports begin today. Orientation for 9th grade and 5th grade will be this Friday. Teachers and staff will be here next week. Hopefully we'll have a great 2025-26. And with that, I'll pass it on to administration, Mr. Ridgway.
Yeah, just a few announcements. I'll do them in chronological order. So Friday, we have what we call the Fall Sports Community Kickoff at 7 o'clock at the stadium. All of our sports teams will be there to be introduced, and then we also are doing a blue and white scrimmage with the football team. So that'll last an hour and a half or so. All staff breakfast at 7:30 in the high school cafeteria. Board members are welcome to come if you'd like to. The event goes from 7:30 to about 9:30. We do breakfast. Then we have awards for years of service. We have honoring retirees, and then we meet our new teachers. I'll say a few words. My understanding is Officer Pierce is going to say a few words about school safety, and then the staff will go back to their staff meetings. Meet the teacher night. So Monday, August 18th is middle school, high school. And elementary is Tuesday the 19th, and both are 5 to 7. That is a time change for those parents who are used to 6 to 8, so we're going a little earlier. First day of school is on the 20th, coming up quick. We have our Harper Creek Educational Association Beaver Booster Golf Outing on August 23rd. There is definitely still time to register. It's a fundraiser for both of those groups, so two good causes. We're doing a dedication ceremony. So we are renaming the sports complex at the stadium the Ed Greenman Sports Complex, and that event will occur at the first football game, Thursday, August 28th. And so the reception is before the game, 5:30 to 7. We just sent a press release to the local press, and we will also put it in social media. And then there is a Labor Day weekend pretty quickly, so Friday, August 29th, no school, Monday, September 1st. And then I'm gonna have Carla get with the building committee. We are ready to look at the facility assessment, so we'll check with you for dates. A date that they would like to do it is Wednesday, August 27th, because that is already a core team meeting, but we can schedule at the building committee's convenience. And that is all the communications that I have.
All right, thank you for that. Madam Secretary, any communications?
Not tonight.
All right, thank you for that. District updates, curriculum, Mrs. Williams, good evening.
Good evening. We successfully wrapped up summer school programming. As you know, we had a couple of different locations. We pivoted because at the last minute we found out we received some grant money that we thought we were not getting in partnership with the Community Unlimited. So our K1 2 was at Beetle, and then the rest of our kiddos were at the high school. So it was a continuation of last year's goals of infusing careers as well as the foundational skills in math and reading. If you got the opportunity to go, I know I sent you an invite, you would see that they had a final project kind of articulating something that aligned to their aspiring career at their current age. So if you were ever 11 or 12 or 8, that may change, but for right now they're starting to do some thinking about what they'd like to be when they grow up or what they're becoming. We are full force getting ready to onboard approximately 23 to 25 new certified staff, which is the largest cohort in this district that I've had the opportunity to lead in training. Wednesday will be restorative practices. Thursday, they will learn about our tool for growth, which is Thoughtful Classroom. And Friday, as Mr. Ridgway said, we have breakfast, which we hope you'll all come to at 7:30 to meet them. And then they sign, and then we move into training some things around our district, as well as our social emotional learning trails. We had our leadership retreat, which Rob and I co-led, and we had a theme of careers also, just bringing new life into our third goal, which is not new, but it was kind of, it wasn't dormant, but we had to get our student support specialists, our student support and our counselors trained, so we've spent a couple years doing that, and the software Zello to help our students explore careers, not in high school, but right in elementary.
Does Mr. Ridgway have a new four-wheeler we didn't know about?
He does. We,
Oh.
of course, he paid for it himself. There were no district funds used. But we worked really hard to create an infused fun. We had a pirate theme, the voyage, whatever, hence the silly accessories. And so we visited both the Career Center, our own. Many have seen it. Some had not. And then we also, Mr. Ridgway coordinated an opportunity to go to Career Connects in Kalamazoo. So we had one day.
Right by Wing Stadium.
Yeah. One day in our own backyard and one day in Kalamazoo. So we did an escape room. We did a scavenger hunt in 90-degree heat, which I heard about, but it was fun, wasn't it, Ginger?
It was great. I loved it.
Anyways, so just a lot of exciting things happening, and I always say that it's going to be the best year yet. And I am just super excited about what we're doing for kids, and with parents.
Questions for Mrs. Williams? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Facilities, Mr. Robinson, good evening.
Thank you. Submitted the report. Couple things just to mention. The new ovens that we purchased through the food service program have been installed in high school and middle school. They're pretty impressive. They do a little bit of everything. Steam, smoke, fry, air fry. They go crazy. They're installed. High school parking lots, many of you have seen. They're finishing the painting of lines up in there tomorrow, so the front of that will be completed. And then all those parking lots. What we did with the lots is we crack filled, so many of you saw there's some huge cracks in them. They filled anything over about 3/8 of an inch, and then sealed them and then remarked them. They still need a lot of work. We just put that out there, and you'll see that later on when we talk about our assessment reports after with the building committee and our other groups. And then we're just continuing the process of getting staff and students in buildings with our maintenance grounds and our custodial teams. And I do want to just raise up our custodians a little bit. I'll tell you, the buildings is better this year than years past for a long time.
Anybody have any questions on his report?
We continue to work on the rental house. We're not renting anymore, and so we are in process of eventually removing the house. So we're taking everything out for it not to be a residence anymore.
Right now, gas is completely disconnected all the way to the road. Electrical lines are completely cut. I believe we had to do what we call a shaft inspection. It just happened last week, to tell us if there's asbestos in it. And then we'll attack it.
All right, thank you for that. We'll move on to finance and Mrs. Obermeyer. Good evening.
Hi, I submitted my reports, a couple of updates. One, the audit is September 2nd through the 5th. So for sure by next meeting, I will have the unofficial where we stand as of 6/30/25. I have almost everything in and ready to go. I'm just waiting on August state aid to be able to tell you exactly where we ended. I'm hoping we get paid on the 20th, but it gets released. I was really hoping it had it just now so I could tell you guys, but it's not up yet. Couple of we're right on track though. It'll be a little. It's right around there, right? There's no way of knowing exactly, but it'll be right around either adding.
You're not committal to me?
Yeah. In a week, I will give you the committed answer. A couple of updates, nothing still from the state as far as funding, which is crazy to me. We're about to start school and we don't know how much, or what financially it looks like. One thing that we did sure up, I was assuming, but we didn't know for sure, food service for the past few years, really since COVID, has reimbursed us 100% for meals for all students, breakfast and lunch, no matter what income level you were at. That's for sure continuing through September 30th. There was some back and forth on whether it would, and then, but no word yet on if it's going to continue. Mr. Ridgway, Mr. Rumenap and I have all sat down and we are coming up with different plans and scenarios, but without their guidance, we don't really know. But for sure, the families will eat free through September 30th.
And our principals had indicated that in their back-to-school letters to parents, just to give them a heads up that it's possible that we go back to paid breakfast and lunch. Of course, the free and reduced is still there, and people have to fill the form out.
Yes.
And so we're really encouraging families to fill the forms out, just in case it does come back and they do qualify. We don't want to have anybody that qualifies, not able to.
And I get the benefit.
And in your opinion, if it goes the opposite way, we still did free breakfast before this, correct?
And so that's the contingency planning that we'll do. We do have excess fund balance in food service. I think we all know that. We've been working with that. And we would come to the board with either a plan or ideas of how we could continue, or if we chose not to, then we would do that. I would guess breakfast would be the priority over lunch, but maybe I'm wrong.
We're gonna run the different numbers and scenarios, and but yeah, I would imagine breakfast would be the priority.
Like, we did that before COVID. So in 2019, the state superintendent came down to Harper Creek, and some of you were on the board, because we were the first district to do a universal breakfast program using our fund balance for food services. And we thought it was a really good way to put money back into food for kids and families.
And the cash balance, we're looking good. We earned around 19,000 in interest, which isn't a huge amount because our debt money is low, because we're just now starting to collect taxes again. So that'll continue to grow, but that's just 1 month's worth.
Yeah, one plug for, folks that happen to be here, and we talk about this a little bit. So we've refinanced our bonds over the years. So a long time ago, the high school was built in about 2002. And those bonds, have matured over the years, and we've refinanced them. And so we've been able to cut 3 years off the end of the bond payments, which is estimated by our financial advisors at about $15 million in interest that we'll save. So we're really excited about the fact that, the board did go through those processes when they could, and were able to save that much money. So the bond will be paid off in 2034 instead of 2037. Okay, any questions for?
That's what I got tonight.
Thank you, Ginger. All right, move on to technology and Mr. Maynard.
All right, it's been a busy summer, and I'll start with everyone's favorite never-ending clock project continues at Waddles Park Elementary. They expect to have that completed this week. That is all the stuff that was in stock. We cleaned out the inventory, trying to spend the grant money before the deadline, and now the installation's gonna eat up the balance, so that's really exciting. Otherwise, it's been busy with that, and then secondly, I provided you an informational update on the status of the broadcast FCC license we applied for last year. It kind of speaks for itself on that one, but I'm happy to take any questions.
Everybody knows we're getting a radio station.
Just talk about it just a little bit,
Yeah.
Jim, just to give people a flavor of what you mean.
Okay, so it's,
What the-
the idea is if this came to fruition, it would be a low-powered radio station, approximately a 4-mile radius from the campus here, open to students, staff, the community, anyone to participate in the operation and programming thereof. We're looking for it to just be kind of self-funded through donors and whatnot, and it could be cool if it comes to fruition. I think so. But
So you just talked maybe 30 seconds about the federal grants that are kind of out there but not there right now, and
Well,
are we looking for donations?
It's a wild card. The Corporation for Public Broadcasting was administering a grant through FEMA. Well, FEMA was administering a grant through them for funding basically next generation warning systems. So the emergency alert system you hear when there's weather or whatnot. So they're upgrading that through federal funding. We applied for it in round two. They were still giving out round one funding. That's their bad for dragging their feet. And, well, with the recent announcement that CPB is closing down this fall, that leaves things in limbo, but we have heard that we're still in the running. So I'm guessing whoever picks up the reins on that, hopefully will consider us still, because that grant, if we received it, would pay for everything we need.
Otherwise, if anybody has a charitable foundation, Jim would love to talk to you. Anything further for Mr. Maynard? Anything further on your side? All right. Thank you. Open up to comments related to agenda items. Anybody have anything? Nope. All right, move on to consent agenda, Madam Secretary.
Chair calls for a motion that the Harper Creek Board of Education approve the consent agenda as follows. Approve the general fund check, school services fund check, school lunch, and the student school activity fund checks in accordance with the list discussed. Approve the general fund check, school services, okay. Approve the following minutes as reviewed. June 9th, 2025, Board of Education meeting minutes. July 14th, 2025, Board of Education meeting minutes. July 14th, 2025, closed session meeting minutes. July 22nd, 2025, Building Committee meeting minutes. July 23rd, Policy Committee meeting minutes. August 7th, 2025, Budget Committee meeting minutes.
For the audience, we're just reviewing the closed session meeting minutes.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Do we have discussion? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Helverson?
Yes.
Mrs. Reisner?
Yes.
Mrs. Watterson? Mrs. Alward, I vote yes. Mrs. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Best?
And I vote yes.
Motion carries.
All right. 7-0. Move on to information discussion, school safety. Mr. Ridgway.
Okay, our standing agenda item for school safety, we, just again, so folks that haven't been around, we meet as a school safety committee once a month. It is a collaboration of local police, fire, county-wide folks, as well as school folks, and we have 2 board members on the team. This time we invited all of our staff for our athletic events because we want to talk about athletic safety for fall. We do have, some games on Friday nights that are very large and wanted to make sure that we had a plan in place for all situations to keep people safe. We always do talk about the worst case, just in case. And so we did talk through a few things that we think are going to be positive improvements. We want to make sure that we post it with large posters, evacuation routes from the facility. Our staff is going to wear lanyards that are going to be neon, I don't know if it's orange or red. Jim was green, Jim was ordering those. So that people, when you always hear at an airport, see something, say something, but you don't know who to talk to. So we're going to have people with these on, about 20. And if somebody sees something at the game that is suspicious, they can talk to a staff member so we can hopefully address it appropriately. We will have, for example, the Lakeview game, the first game, 5 resource officers there, 3 from Harper Creek and 2 from Lakeview. But lots and lots of things that we are doing to put in place to make the game as safe as possible, accessible to everyone. Sometimes our lines are really long getting into games, so they've made some adjustments, so they have 2 different entrances. Small things like that can make sure everything works out well. We also talked about the other athletic events. Cross country is another big event that we do, several different meets. We did identify an issue with the cross country trail or course is near the junior football practice field, and making sure we're coordinating to make sure there's no issues with folks getting either in the way or getting injured. Beyond that, I did mention already that we talked a little bit about the dedication of the football field to Mr. Greenberg, football complex to Mr. Greenman. And that will be from 5:30 to 7 on August 28th. So we're excited about it. We also talked about this project out front. And so just to give you a heads up, and this is not official, this is not Harper Creek official, this is word from the county. And the county said that they're going to start that project next Thursday and finish on Saturday.
But possibly Wednesday.
Maybe start Wednesday, finish on Friday. Now, that seems like a pretty, I don't know, aggressive timeline, but they say that's what's going to happen. Because when school starts on August 20th, I certainly don't want to have a line of people out on B Drive North angry and not sure what's going on. So we did ask the local police to make sure if the project wasn't done, that they were present on that first morning of school. That was the other conversation we had. And then we will be meeting at, I believe we said, the middle school, so we're gonna go from school to school to school to ask about specific safety issues that are occurring within buildings and how we can continue to progress.
Quick question.
Yes.
Is it the Ed Freeman Sport Complex or Athletic?
Athletic. Did I say sports?
Well, it says sport
Yeah,
on,
you know, I keep messing that up. Agreement athletic.
All right.
Sounds
just one, make sure,
more official.
universal. All right, any questions on school safety? All right, strategic plan update.
Okay, same thing, standing agenda item, we wanna see what's the progress. So the biggest progress we made is when we had the retreat that Laura spoke about, we took quite a bit of time to go over our strategic plan in detail with our administrative staff, who's responsible for what, and what things are the priorities. We went through the entire thing, you know, at the board meeting last time, we went through a few things. The entire plan, and to say when exactly are things gonna happen, what are things that are gonna happen now, what are things that are gonna happen in the future. And then the second part is we connected the strategic plan to the school improvement goals that we have, so that they're all connected together as we're talking, when Mrs. Williams talks about goals in school improvement planning, that those will match up directly with strategic plan pillars. Now, not every pillar has a goal, but we went into pretty good detail. And then the third thing that we did is we want to have a front-facing dashboard. So we want to have something that the community can look at to say, how are we progressing towards this plan? How are we doing academically? How are we doing with all the different things, communication, you know, all the things that we have within our pillars. And we had EAB, which is an outside company, come in and help us look at other samples and then decide how we're gonna do it. And so what we decided was we were gonna take the strategic plan and basically mirror it with our dashboard, so that when somebody looks at all the documents, they can kind of see how we're doing at each one. Now, we know academics is the first thing, and so you're going to see our academic data, our NWEA, which is our local testing, the state testing, our growth, our achievement. Those things will be out there front facing, but you're also gonna see things that are happening within the school that you may not know. Like, how are we doing with collaboration? These Wednesday early releases, you know, how is it going? What's going on, and how is that improving our instruction? Because we promised a long time ago that that was the best way to improve our instruction, was to ensure our teachers had collaboration time. I mean, the research is pretty clear about it. So all the stuff that's in the plan will be front-facing with that. And then Carla went around, and I think she has one more building to go, but all of our posters, the strategic plan posters, are in every classroom. And so everybody in the district will be able to see them on a daily basis of that's the direction we're going. So that's the progress this month. Good. Yeah, it's exciting, but it's, you know, the plan is driving the work.
Living document. All right, move on to new hires.
All right, so I guess I'll just do it this way. I have a few more. I'm not sure if I can get them up on the screen or not, but so we've been hiring, and sometimes I see on social media people say stuff, but basically we're hiring because we had so many retirements last year, and so we've had a lot of hires. And when people retire, other people move into their jobs, it opens up a different job, and so there's a big shell game going on. So here are the hires for this meeting. So Stacia Bagley, middle school music, she will do band and choir at the middle school. She is coming to us with lots of experience, and she will start at BA 20, so that means 20 years of experience. Ryan Kletch, Sonoma 4th grade teacher, he is brand new, BA 1, so bachelor's degree, first year. Melissa Rao, who has been a long-term substitute teacher, para-interventionist for us. She will be doing middle school 6th grade English and math, and she's done a wonderful job with that throughout her entire career. She'll start off with the sub pay up until she gets her interim certificate, and then she will move into the teacher's salary. Kelly Tews, middle school functional classroom teacher, that would be for special education, and MA 13, so someone that is highly experienced. Leslie Wardell, middle school art teacher, she has some experience as well. And then Kevin Faraci, middle school vice principal. And then I'm gonna quickly see if I can get this up, and I'll pull it onto the screen I had 3 new hires today. And I'm happy to say that we are, this is the second page, hold on. We are all but one teaching position full right now. And we have somebody in, that we are in process with hiring that will bring to the next meeting. So Danielle Hendon, Sonoma Kindergarten, BA1, Kelly Overwig, Sonoma 2nd grade, MA10, and Paul Kitchen, high school special education teacher. We were a little bit worried about that when we hadn't had many applicants. And Paul comes to us actually from an alternate path. He's been a KCC instructor for a long time, working with dual enrolled kids, high school kids dual enrolled. And so we feel like he'll be a good fit for our district. So I am recommending for hire all of those folks. Lots of them. Tammy Chapman's been doing a lot of work getting people in and into interviews and going through the process.
Thank you, Tammy, wherever you're at. All right, let's move on to Troon policy updates.
Okay. I can go into as much detail or as little detail as you want. So, policy committee met, and I put on your desk, it was in board book also, but I'd like to just sort of reference this. The first one is called June 11th, it's blue, June 11th, Troon policy update. If you can kind of get your hands on that. And if you go in, 1, 2, 3 pages, it has the policy update summary. There was 38 policies that the policy committee looked at. There's no reason in the world we should go through and look at all these policies individually as a group, but I want you to have this document. It is the summary of the changes, so that as a board member that's not in the policy committee, that you have, you are aware of the things that happen. I can quickly go through a lot of these things. An example, the very first one, they clarified the First Amendment rights for individuals at a board meeting. It used to say the public. Now it says individuals' First Amendment rights. So just a small clarificational change that every individual has First Amendment rights. The second one, data breach response. For example, last year there was a big power school breach of data in America. We were spared because of Jim Maynard's, I don't know, it was either really good fortune, right, of looking ahead, because he did not allow any emails from out of country into our district. And the email that came in for phishing came from, I think, Ukraine. Is that correct? Yeah. And so we were not affected, thanks to his work. But basically, this policy says, I digress a little bit, if we're notified by a third party, so Power School notified all the districts and said, hey, you may have had a data breach. And at that point, we have to investigate to see what happened. Luckily, we did not. And then as I go through here, they're like the 315, which is Title IX, they didn't really change Title IX at all. They just changed the way I'll call it the grammar of the way that they identified things. The next one, they changed the address of the Office of Civil Rights. So really simple things. What do you need to know? There is a requirement of districts, it's on the second, when I say second page, the next page, 3408 firearms and weapons. We have to send out information to all parents in our district about safe storage of firearms. Notice regarding best practices for safe storage of firearms. It's a new thing that the legislators put in that we have to do, for example. There are some things on 3212 above, 3301 from the audit that Ginger was talking about that we have to make sure that are matching up with what the federal government expects when we have a debt compliance officer. So we have some debt at the district, Ginger's our debt compliance officer, and the training that's required, for example. They remove language that prohibits Michigan-based businesses for preferential treatment. So now you can have Michigan-based businesses having preferential treatment for a job you might want to do. Let's just say we are going to do, we received a grant and we put out a RFP. We could say in the RFP that if you're a Michigan-based business, you will get like more points on your rubric when we score it. So just things like that. Going down to the bottom of that page, this is kind of interesting, and it goes with something else later. Religious workplace accommodations for employees and applicants. So let's say somebody has a religious issue with, let's say, a date on the calendar, and they would like to take the date off. They basically fill a form out, and then we go through a process to see if that person will be granted that accommodation. Next page, I'm in 4106 is the top. It changed. The Family and Medical Leave Act used to be called the Michigan Paid Medical Leave Act, and now it's the Earned Sick Time Act. So it just changed the reference of what we do. This one is interesting. For discipline and termination, it added language to include extracurricular positions, including athletic coaches. So before, our policy didn't stretch out to extracurriculars, and now it would, and the same processes and policies would be there. All right, a big one. 5401, 5405, 5406. This is all about Title I and parent involvement. So there's been a really big push in the federal government to make sure parents are involved in their children's education. And so they put a little bit more meat on the bone for when we go through a process to look at our parent and family engagement policy, what's the word I'm looking for? The form, when we create the parent and family engagement guidelines. So the parents need to be involved, and we have to prove that the parents were involved. So you may have been to elementary Meet the Teacher night, and they have something called a Title I parent night. So you sit and listen to the principal talk for 10 or 15 minutes about Title I. And so we need to go a little bit further throughout this school year to get more information. So going through our PTOs, PTAs, PTCs, trying to get information from parents who are involved with Title I to see how we might change our plan.
I think we already do that, but we will make sure.
Yeah, we'll make sure that we're doing it to the level of the expectation. Parents have been involved, but I think they're trying to make sure that that all school districts in America basically are making sure they do that. Did you realize in 5411 student promotion, retention, and placement that the school district has the final say on any retention, placement, or promotion? But we want to make sure we get parent involvement, we listen to parents, and we want to make sure we follow any and all laws that might be there, because sometimes we have special education IEPs or 504 plans that might cause us to make a different decision if those are in place. So we need to follow laws, but the school does make the final say in those decisions. School wellness policy, we added if somebody has a meal modification for a 504 plan, so their 504 plan is something to do with nutrition or what they eat, and so we have to make sure that it includes in our wellness policy as well. And then concussion awareness, this one's going to be a tough one to implement. So we have always done athletics where we have concussion forms that parents fill out and students fill out. It is now extended to physical education courses. So virtually every student we have takes a physical education course from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. And so getting these forms completed by our parents is going to be a pretty big task. Now we've put it in our new registration form, so any new students to the district already have this, but current students, and we didn't have the information to put it in this year's re-registration, so we're going to have to do some work to make sure we get those forms out and filled out by parents. And that's it. The next page is administrative guidelines, which are not things that the board has to approve. So that was the update. We also had a request from the school nurse to update policy 5709, lice, nits, and bed bugs. It's going to be the best topic tonight, so you can start itching a little bit. So in general, we would like to have, and I think this might be in your blue folder, it looks like this. I can put it up on the screen if everyone wants to see it.
Okay, we just don't let it.
All right. So basically, it gives us a little bit, as a school district, a little bit more, I don't want to say this. Let's say in the lice and nits, a student has lice. Previously, we would not have anything in here about student not being able to come to school. But this addition to the policy, the very top one, I spelled student wrong, I apologize if that's spelled wrong above me. If the parent has to consent to a head examination for them to be readmitted. So the head examination occurs by the nurse, the health aide, or someone that's trained within the school. Without this, we wouldn't be checking kids for head lice, and we think it's a good idea that we do that. We continue that process. We've always done it, but this way it's in board policy that if a parent says, no, you cannot check my child for head lice, then we could say, the student can't come to school until we are checking the student for head lice. We don't kick them out because if we find lice, but we make sure that the parent follows through with making sure that they're treating the head lice. And then bed bugs is somewhat similar in the blue. If a student's clothing or belongings are infested by bed bugs, the student may be excluded from school until the parent has confirmed that successful treatment has occurred or other remedial steps have been taken place. We have had instances this last school year where we see bed bugs and the remediation wasn't occurring. Like, it didn't seem as though that there was an effort to remediate the situation, and so we could exclude a student in that situation. So those are the two changes from before. Before, we wouldn't exclude students. So policy committee did look at those. I think, they can't vote, but they were in agreement that that would be a little bit of help for a school district. And then I finally got the July 25th Truant Policy Update Guide. This is only 2 policies and a form, and this is about opt-outs. So there was a Supreme Court ruling recently, Muhammad versus Taylor, and basically it said that parents have the right to request an opt-out of curriculum materials. It could be a religious situation, it could be disagreeing with a curriculum that we may be teaching. And so if that were to occur, then there is a form that the parent would fill out and it would go through a process. We're all about process. Go through a process by which to see if the student would be opted out of that particular curriculum or not. Now, I bring this to your attention because policy 5407, it's called instructional materials. We took a lot of time on this a few years ago, and it was about when somebody challenges what we're teaching in a classroom, instructional materials, or challenges to library books. And we put in processes in place. And I want to make sure you're either okay with, let me take this off. I don't think I have it up on the screen. Under here. I don't. I'll kind of talk through 2 different versions. Just give me a second. I apologize. The policy thing is like 100 pages thick, so it just gets a little bit long on the tooth. Policy committee meetings are really fun, by the way, if you want to join the policy committee. It is a fun group. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about our current policy and the suggestions from Truant. So let's say we have a complaint about instructional material. In the past, it would go to the teacher, then the building principal, second level if there was an agreement, and then a third level that we had put in was a committee review. The new policy, instead of going to the teacher, then goes to the building principal. So the parent fills out the form, the new form, it goes to the building principal. If the parent does not agree with the principal's assessment or ruling, then it would either go to superintendent or committee review. I would suggest it goes to committee review just like we have. So the difference is instead of teacher, principal, committee, it's just principal, committee. For library materials, so if a parent objects to a book, Truan's, the new one, wants it to go just to the superintendent, and I would have 30 days to review the book, read the book, go through the book, and then I would get a committee together, or at least an advisory group together to talk about it, and then I would make a ruling. What we have in place previously that we came up with was it would go to the building principal and then to a committee review. So my question is, do you like the building principal then committee review? Or do you prefer to superintendent and I bake in a committee within what I do for the review?
And taking out the principal.
If the principals were sitting here that have done this, and it hasn't happened very often, it has happened twice, I think. It was a pretty big effort on the principal's part, because you gotta read the books, right? Now, if they're elementary books, they're pretty short, but if they're high school books, they're novels that are pretty long. And so it takes a minute. I know when Ed did it, I mean, it was quite a big deal for him to read 2 or 3 different books in that 30-day period, because he's got a job to do, not just reading books. We had decided previously in the committee to make sure that we had our library specialists, because they can look up things to say what level is the book. Like, this book would be for elementary kids. This book would be for high school kids. You know, people that do it more for a living than maybe I would. So I would get a committee to do that if I was the person doing it. Or does the board prefer the committee review? Maybe you say, I don't know. The policy committee could take a look at it, we could wait and keep with what we have. The only issue we have is this opt-out was a Supreme Court decision, and we need to implement it as soon as possible in case it happens, to follow the law. If you're asking my recommendation, I am okay with trying out having the superintendent do it with the caveat that I will have an advisory committee that will help the process, and not just an individual person making the call on my own accord. Because my views might be different than other people's views, and I think the board is the community. It could always come to the board, but if we have book reviews coming to the board, I mean, obviously you're gonna have people that are gonna have really big opinions, and I think you'd rather put me in the line of fire than you in the line of fire.
Is this in a motion for tonight's action?
We could either take the motion or take it out of the motion. I think it would probably be in the motion to do the policies as reviewed, but if we don't feel comfortable, we can take, this is what I say, policy 5407 out.
Anybody have any objection to 5407 right now? Any concern?
Because I would go with Troon's recommendation, very similar to what we had previously for instructional materials, and a little bit of change for book reviews. It's, like I said, it's happened twice so far in our last 4
Voting
years.
yea and is the policy change that has you with a committee reviewing
For the
book.
library books, yes.
And that's in the Truant update.
That's what Truon is suggesting from the Supreme Court ruling.
Correct.
I'm fine with that.
The policy, or sorry, the form is no big deal. There is another policy that was in there, it was employee speech, and that just simply says, if a teacher receives a opt-out ask, then they reference the parent to the form, so it goes through the process.
By the way, for the audience, Troon is our legal firm.
Yeah, they do our policy stuff.
I have no problem with as recommended.
And we could always do it and then have the policy committee look at it. The board can always change policies. You can change policies every meeting if you'd like. If this is one that we don't feel comfortable with, and you want the policy committee to take a look at next time they meet, we certainly can do that and dig deeper into it than at a board meeting taking up time now.
I just had one question on the concussion protocol. Was there a timeline? I can't remember. I know we talked about it at the policy committee meeting. Was there a timeline that the parents or grown-ups needed to?
Yeah, there was nothing in the law says it has to be done by a certain date. You have to do it each year, and then we have to keep those papers, those signatures, I believe it was for 5 years.
Okay.
So a parent would do it once every 5 years.
And then is there a protocol for gym class to then follow related to concussions if they happen during gym? Just like football?
So basically, it references the MHSA protocols, and I have put those into our student handbook, which I'll talk about next.
I only had one question, 5104, age of majority, added language clarifying student rights, and I think in your notes you've got 18-year-old, and then F not G.
Oh, I can, here, let me do something really quick.
Sorry.
You guys are gonna see my messy computer, but I'll move over here so you can. I'm just gonna look it up real quick, hold on. Which one was it?
5401,
5401?
I'm sorry, 5104.
5104.
5104.
Because I can grab it real quick. If you as an audience member would like to see our policies, they're on our website as well. I'm pulling it from actually my hard drive, so it's quicker. Okay, so right now, there's the age majority. So a student turns 18, these are the things that a student can do. So unless inconsistent with court order, students who are 18 or older may have the same rights as their parents as they relate to access to control of their student records, so they can access their student records, represents themselves in a disciplinary conference, request a personal curriculum, have other rights or privileges as determined by the superintendent or designee, sign themselves out of school, or provide reasons for their absences. And so the change, what did my
It
notes
says
say?
F, not G.
F, not G.
G was.
Put me on the spot, Jess.
I apologize.
I believe there was other rights that they would have, so we said we would provide reasons for an absence or a tardy, but we would not allow students to, oh jeez. There we go. I'll go different.
But you can get back to us if you like. I don't think it's going to,
We talked about it. Do you remember what was it that we would,
I have the printed stuff from Trudy's right here, so I got this. F, not G.
you know?
So we said, so we were okay with,
I forgot my flashcards at home.
oh, I know what it was. Okay, so there's two options. The committee was okay with signing themselves out of school, but the committee was not okay with providing reasons for their absence or tardy. So we would get rid of providing reasons for absence or tardy. The committee recommendation was that. F, not
But
G.
it would still come from,
I don't see a G up there.
Well, there's a G in this, sorry.
Oh, okay.
but it would still have to come from a parent or guardian, the reason for their absence.
You didn't agree on it, then it probably just deleted it, right, so then G turned it back. Right, there's no.
Okay.
So the new policy basically is this with A through E.
There you go.
Right.
Yep. Barry's got it. Unless you want kids to sign themselves, or write their own absences. That's not a great deal.
An honorary,
Can we do that legally? I mean, they are
It's optional,
adults.
yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
E's optional too. So we could say they can't sign themselves out of school, but we never done that.
Okay. Anything further on
Maybe sweat.
updates? All right, move on to student handbooks.
All right, so we have a student handbook now, even though it is plural on the thing. And so we have a student handbook that does all of our schools. And I'm not gonna go through the entire thing because most of it did not change. We made sure that it looked really good, in terms of the formatting and all of that kind of stuff. It is kind of nice. The table of contents is accurate in terms of where all the page numbers are. The things that may have changed, I'm just trying to get to a spot where you can see how this is for all. There's our calendar, school calendar, daily schedule for all of our different classes. That didn't change. We are no longer going to call all of the radio stations because they typically don't pick up the phone when we call them anymore. So we're going to do the call out system, the website, the app that we have, social media, Wood Channel 8, TV 8, and WWMT3, so Channel 3 are the places we're going to advertise. That was a change. There's lots of legal things like this. Notice of non-discrimination is legal. We have our Title IX coordinator, our 504 coordinator, our civil rights coordinator. All those things are identified within the handbook. Of course, I can't get to one where it's different between elementary and high school. There's the bed bugs we just talked about. I did include the new thing if we do approve that. This is a draft. It hasn't been put out yet, so if you approve it, and everything will match up. A big deal nowadays, cell phone use. We didn't change our cell phone usage from last year, but we do not allow cell phone use at school anymore. Kids at the high school can have them on their person, but they're not allowed to use them during the school day. Middle school kids have to have them in their lockers, and then elementary kids would have to, if they have a cell phone, has to be principal permission, basically, to have it inside of their backpacks.
Another district within the Battle Creek area just went to a
Yeah, Lakeview did the same, yeah.
no
Harper Creek High School middle school cell phone rules as opposed to elementary cell phone rules. So I found one where it's a little bit different between the different buildings. But that kind of gives you an idea. The changes that are in the policy, or I'm sorry, in the handbook, mostly around the high school schedule change. We went from a block schedule to a more traditional schedule, and that changed the number of credits to graduate. It basically changed it by year too. So freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors have different numbers of credits. Eventually, the freshmen will be where everybody's at, but it takes a 4-year process to get to there as to what credits they need. We did change the grading scale from a 4-point scale to a 12-point scale. We talked about that previously a little bit, I think, at a board meeting where an A was a 4.0 and A minus was a 4.0. Now, an A is a 4, an A minus is a 3.7. Makes sense? I mean, all the way down the line to, you get to an E, you get a 0.
I was looking at the bottom piece. Do we have anything on there about use of AI?
Use of AI.
Exactly what I was thinking.
We have an AI policy for the board. Now, you asked me that question, I'm gonna take a look real quick just to see if there's an AI reference in here. It's alphabetical, so I'm just looking at it from the top there in each section. I don't believe we have an AI rule in the handbook, but we do have AI in the policy book.
I mean, it's a good question. I mean, I've read some articles about how they're seeing an uptick in that in colleges. Students using AI to basically write term papers and.
Yeah, we've been dealing with it for sure, and we have procedures in place. It might be a good idea for us to take a look about adding it in. The really nice part about this student handbook is it's easy to update and change because it's electronic. We used to print these things, right? Big old stacks of paper. Now they're not, and so if we made an update at the board level, we could literally put it in place. So if we said we think AI is something we want to make sure we have rules and regulations on, we will go search those out, talk to Troon, see what we're currently doing, and then bring it back to the board.
And a shameless plug for our joint board meeting on September 29th, Monday. We will have, what is the person's name from the IS?
Anna McCrum is going to be our
McCrum will
speaker.
be speaking to us about AI. So maybe it is something that we look at, but might we want to consider waiting to hear what she might weigh in on the topic and just suggesting it, or maybe we start to craft something, have it ready to go once we've heard her
Yeah, I'm just.
position?
I think that's great. I gotta believe Churn has a point of view on this, a policy statement somewhere on AI.
Yep.
I'd be shocked if they didn't.
Yeah, we definitely have policy. We just gotta get to the procedure
Right.
level for the handbook.
Yeah. I would think if there's something in there that is prohibitive, it needs to be set at the beginning of the school year.
Okay. Let me take a hard look just to make sure it's not already in there. But there really wasn't a lot of changes except for changing the legal requirements that we are going to change with our policies. I'm trying to, I thought for sure there was something about AI in here, but I'm just trying to look for it real quick. I know I'm taking time up, I apologize.
Yeah, it's a big thing for us. We just went through a lot of training and we're required to identify if we've used it.
Cite it, yeah.
I did a letter of recommendation for somebody and I got it back AI corrected. Can we use the new version? I thought, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was talking about credits, 2026 graduates, 27, 28, 29, and the different credits that they need to graduate is outlined in here. And you say, why is there more and less? It's because with a block schedule, there was more possible credits than there is with our traditional schedule. These are all the requirements by grade level, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. I'm just trying to get to the spot where we have the discipline. I think that's where the AI stuff was at. Yeah, I'm in discipline, so in there. All the different types of discipline.
There is a thing that says plagiarism, cheating, or falsification of schoolwork, submitting work that is not your own, including copying from others' work or unauthorized use of AI.
You know what page that's on?
52.
Go Carla.
Oh, 52.
You were so close.
So that's the only reference so far. That's a small reference. AI is definitely bigger than that. I mean, it's not okay, obviously, to cheat.
It's in there somewhere.
Okay,
At least it's in
Yeah.
it's in there.
There you go.
So technically it's in, but I do think that we should take a deeper dive. I really do.
Well, and it's not just about plagiarism and cheating, it's also about using it correctly and using it, I mean, if you're not using AI in some sort, then you're probably missing out.
Yeah, we
Making
agree
your
100%
job
with
harder.
that. And then how to use it correctly.
Yeah, exactly, so.
Okay, how about this, President Best? Why don't I, at the next meeting, come back with suggested, I don't say changes in the handbook, but suggested and guidelines for the district.
We're good with that. I know you had mentioned, Brad, that you like to see something before the start of the school year,
I
but
think it's there.
It's a little bit, it's got enough in it there if we had an issue. If we want to make an adjustment after that, then we can.
I think it's there, but if we have a plan that helps
Clarify.
communicate,
I think that'd give
Authorize
administration enough
this.
time to actually, get the details worked out. Ginger, you had something?
Page 14, there's a longer, more information.
14.
How did I miss that?
You didn't speed read fast enough, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Oh.
or is that, this is just about cheating, right? Using AI to assist completing assignment, is just that part.
yeah, that seems a little vague.
Yeah.
Because I could see uses of it where it can assist, but
Positively, right?
And so what we've learned is the practice that you should do is really teacher by teacher in giving assignment. What is the use of AI for this assignment? You can't use it. You can use it to enhance your work, or the AI is the assignment. We're going to use AI to do something, and then we're going to critique it. For example, write a paper and critique it afterwards. But I can dig the guidelines up, and then I will bring them to the board, and that'll give us a better idea. On top of the thing we're doing with Anna, that will help, and then see if there is other things in the handbook that we need to put specifically. One thing at the very end was this idea of concussions. It's at the very end of the handbook, which is, say it's new, but this is the form. So it's called Concussion Information Sheet Awareness from the CDC. This is what the MHSA is using. And so this is the form that we'll give to all parents. I'm just going to flip through it kind of quickly. And then at the next page, a little more information, and then a signature at the bottom. And so we will work on getting this out and signed by our district parents.
And then our gym teachers will be working on how they notify and deal with those
Yeah.
particular issues.
Yeah, that is set pretty well now. We went through a process with the athletic director and what we do for athletics, and now all of our phys ed teachers and coaches will be trained the same way.
My biggest concern for concussions would be junior football and making sure that the protocols are ironclad, so that type of thing does not get missed. So a lot of undiagnosed concussions is what I thought when I was a junior football coach, so making sure our athletic department
Yeah.
dials that in.
So generally speaking, we didn't have many, or if any, internal changes that were different than what the law firm is suggesting. So last year we had a few with the cell phone policy, and there's a few big ones. This year we didn't have any big changes like that. So I want you to be rest assured, it's a long document, but there wasn't a lot of changes, just legal changes that came along with our policy review.
All right, if nothing further there, let's move on to MASB Delegate Assembly.
All right, we have to pick somebody who can attend. And so we have to do this, I believe, by October. We don't have to do it tonight, but if we can, it'd be great. Right now, Shay is our rep. The meeting is Thursday, October 2nd. Unfortunately, it's in Traverse City, so it is a long drive. It's part of, I'm sorry, Thursday, October 23rd at 7. We have to notify by the 2nd. It's in Traverse City during the MASB conference. Barry is technically the alternate, but any board member could be the delegate that may be
You
attending.
gonna go? Okay. If something happens,
I know.
no. If you can't make it, let me know.
Okay.
So, hey, Shay,
You're in? All right, let's move on to item G, naming of facilities.
I tried to explain this in the Friday email, but basically, we had a naming of facilities request to name the basketball court at the high school gym in honor of Gary Lincoln, who passed last year, or earlier this year, I guess. And so the naming facility got together. They had quite a few questions, and they wanted to get some clarification from the person that requested, who happened to be Gary's son, Ben. And so I've gone through the process of having those conversations, and my next step is gonna be reaching back out to the naming facility and talking to each individual about, this is what the request is, and they basically make a recommendation to the board. The board will make the final decision of whatever that final decision is, but they just wanted clarity. I think I mentioned at the last meeting that this, if we were to move forward with it, it would come with a $250,000 donation. So I look at it in the sense that, does the person that we're honoring, are they, I don't use the wrong word here, worthy of the naming? And, Mr. Lincoln put in a lot of time and effort in our district. He did a lot of that time and effort, with the men. But prior to that, a longer time ago, he was a coach, he was a teacher, he became a board member, and then, the men's club stuff was always in the background, and then it became the foreground for him. So I think he has the legacy to certainly have something named after him, and the committee did agree to that. They said that yes, we think that he does. They just wanted to know if that was the only request, and so I did some clarification, and yes, that is what the request is. So I'll go back to the committee and they'll come back to you. We were hopeful to come to you tonight, but unfortunately it didn't work out that way, so we will come back. I'll come back to you with their recommendation. I talked about a special meeting, but President Best said we think it's best that something like this should happen at a regular meeting with advertising, so people in the community can voice their opinion, I believe is what we had talked about. But that's where it stands right now. We met, didn't make a decision at this point, or a recommendation at this point, got more information, and I'm gonna reach back out to get the information to the committee.
I really wish the money wasn't something we were talking about and that they were separate. Because we're naming a facility for somebody because of their legacy, or we're naming a facility because it's coming with money, which are two very different things.
Yeah, and that was
So it's
the,
like it's being bought, not that it's because of the legacy, because every time we've talked about it, it's been about the money.
yeah.
So I wanna make sure we're separating the two, that if it's about a legacy, let's name it for the legacy, not the money.
But in the committee, we did talk about that, like, Barry's. on the
Yeah,
committee.
I mean, because I share that opinion, right? I mean, and we talked about it in that vein. It's interesting because we talked about the contributions Gary's made, and they're significant. We all felt that it was worthy of recognition. The reality, though, is it's hard to ignore Part B of that discussion, which is a pretty, not only a sizable donation to Harper Creek to begin with, but then an ongoing partnership. And so, the intent was, hey, let's separate the two. But once you have the initial discussion, it's hard to keep them separate in reality. I guess that's the best way to put it. And so again, I think the committee was very supportive. It's just they wanted to explore some other options with Ben. And then for me, just to comment on Ben, I obviously knew Gary very well through board service and through the men's club. I had never met Ben. I have not ever had a conversation with him before I was on the phone with him. I found him to be very genuine. I found him on both fronts, both very genuine about what he believes his dad meant to the Harper Creek community, but also very genuine about his own personal experience at Harper Creek and wanting to continue his dad's legacy of giving back to the community, not only in 2025, but in the years beyond. So I was very impressed with his approach and how genuine he was in the request.
I'd say he definitely had a holistic approach, but I agree the
It's
kind of a
like
push-pull
we're-
a little bit.
Right, are we selling options to, yeah, provide it?
I gotcha. Anything further?
That's the information I have at this point. I want to make sure that is as up to date with what I know and what I have at this point.
All right, let's move on to the transportation hoist.
Okay, unfortunately, our hoist, now, I'm gonna talk out of school here because I don't know what I'm talking about with this stuff, but basically the back end, the rear of the hoist cylinder broke. It is in the floor, so we have to cut cement out, all kinds of different things, put a new cylinder in. And unfortunately, it's a cost of $41,589.40, a very large bill. It's bigger than what I can approve, as superintendent. So I'm bringing it to the board. I asked a lot of questions. Ginger, our finance director, asked a lot of questions. Do we have to have this? Can we live without this? And generally speaking, we cannot safely pick up a bus without this fixed. So it's one of those things we have to move forward with. We want to continue to fix buses. If we were to farm out our buses from mechanic services, our costs would probably triple. So I do believe this is something we have to do. So I am asking the board to approve this bid and a 5% contingency just in case there's anything that happens to pop up during the process. This is the only company that we know of that does hoists, American Hoist Air and Lube.
They are the only ones here.
Yeah. And, because we always want to get lots of bids, 3 bids, but this was the only place that does the work. We've done work with them before, Jim?
Lots, they rebuilt that hoist, they did some other work.
Yeah. So, that's the request, and I would recommend that we move forward with it. Yes, it's a lot of money, but we just can't go without.
Do they accept coupons?
Probably not.
All right, move on to comments from the audience. Anybody have any comments? All right. Action item A, new hires.
Chair calls for a motion that the Harper Creek Board of Education approve the following new hires. Stacia Bagley, middle school music teacher, bachelor's degree, Eastern Michigan University, MA 20. Ryan Kletch, Sonoma 4th grade, Ball State University, BA 1. Melissa Rao, middle school 6th grade math, alternative pathways, teachers of tomorrow, $200 per day until interim certificate, then BA 2. Kelly Tews, middle school functional classroom teacher, master's degree, Walden University, MA 13. Leslie Wardell, middle school art teacher, master's degree, Western Michigan University, MA 13. Kevin Faraci, middle school vice principal, master's degree, Western Michigan University, $84,048. Danielle Hendon, Sonoma Elementary kindergarten teacher, bachelor's degree, Western Michigan University, alternative pathway, K3 endorsement, BA 1. Kelly Overwig, Sonoma Elementary, 2nd grade teacher, master's degree, Eastern Michigan University, MA 10. Paul Kitchen, high school special education co-teacher, master's degree, Grand Rapids Theological Seminary, alternative pathway, secondary English and special education, endorsement BA 3.
So moved.
It's been moved and supported. Do we have discussion?
It's just, we've had quite a few hires, and this is theoretically the end of the hires. We're starting school and we have a full staff, so I appreciate that.
All right. Please call the roll.
Mr. Halverson.
Yes.
Mrs. Reisner.
Yes.
Mrs. Watterson.
Yes.
Mrs. Allward, I vote yes. Mrs. Wallace.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
And Mr. Best.
I vote yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
All right, thank you for that. Action item B, Troon policy updates.
Chair calls for a motion that the Harper Creek Board of Education approve the Truant policy updates June 11th, 2025, July 25th, 2025, and the update to policy 5709, lice, nits, and bed bugs, reviewed by the policy committee.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Do we have any discussion? I'd just like to say thank you to the policy committee through going through all those, and Rob for earning every penny of his paycheck today. That was difficult, so thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, what we do, we go through this whole thing, put it on the overhead, and we go through every single policy to see what the changes actually are, so you feel comfortable with. Somebody is going through all of them.
There's a reason in my 10 years and 8 months that I chose not to be on the policy committee. All right, thank you for that. If nothing further, please call the roll.
Mr. Helverson?
Yes.
Mrs. Reisner?
Yes.
Mrs. Watterson?
Yes.
Mrs. Alward, I vote yes. Mrs. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
And Mr. Best.
I vote yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Action item C, student handbooks.
Chair calls for a motion that the Harper Creek Board of Education approve the 2025-2026 Harper Creek Community School Student Handbook as discussed and reviewed.
So moved.
Been moved and supported. Do we have discussion? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Helverson?
Yes.
Mrs. Reisner?
Yes.
Mrs. Watterson?
Yes.
Mrs. Alward, I vote yes. Mrs. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
And Mr. Best.
I vote yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you for that. Action item D, MASB Delegate Assembly.
Chair calls for a motion that the Harper Creek Board of Education assign Shay Watterson as Region 6 Delegate Representative and Barry Smith as Delegate Alternate in the MSAB 2025 Delegate Assembly on October 23rd, 2025 at 7 p.m.
So moved.
It's been moved and supported. Do we have discussion? Hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Helverson?
Yes.
Mrs. Reisner? Mrs. Watterson?
Yes.
Mrs. Alward, I vote yes. Mrs. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Best.
I vote yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
All right, last action item E, Transportation Hoist.
Chair calls for a motion that the Harper Creek Board of Education authorize the bid from American Hoist and Lube to repair the transportation hoist for $41,589.40 with a 5% cost contingency.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Do we have discussion? Or coupons? All right, hearing and seeing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Helverson?
Yes.
Mrs. Reisner?
Yes.
Mrs. Watterson? Mrs. Alward, I vote yes. Mrs. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
And Mr. Best.
I vote yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
All right, does anybody have anything for the next meeting? As usual, I'll reach out by text and email.
Not really anything for the next meeting. I would just jot it down in my notes. Is there anything that, the school districts or the Board of Educations in Calhoun County can do to put pressure on our representatives to get some movement at the state level for their, dragging feet of the,
So I believe
Budget.
Lakeview did some type of national.
They did one for federal.
Federal for funding, to release funds, but it's, to me, it's a formality, it's just something that we would do, but, and ultimately, I don't know that it goes anywhere. Not unless every school district in the state did it, then that would be a,
So,
different.
one thing I've done is I reached out to our state senator, Thomas Albert, talked to him personally, to try to, what's going on, what's happening, what does the pressure look like? He didn't have a lot of answers at the time. I could reach out to Steve Frisbee, although he does not represent Harper Creek. He does represent areas in Battle Creek. He would he probably would talk and say what he feels is happening. And then Sarah Leitner is our other one, who is our representative, but the way that our district is set up, she's a ways away from us. So I don't see her much in the area. But that kind of pressure I could do. But
The
a
question I
board
have-
pressure would be,
Well, I mean, from a practical standpoint, it seems with should there be legislations that says that the state of Michigan and individual school districts will be on the same calendar
Yeah.
timing for budget approval? So it's less about a complaint saying you do your job, but from a standpoint of practicality, if,
I think there is. They're in violation right now, are they not?
I don't, from my experience in the past, October first is the real deadline.
Okay.
There
then
has-
then the question becomes, if their deadline is October first, why are the school districts
Kind of different,
set for June?
different
30th?
finance, yeah. I think that they had put in place, I don't know if it was not in law, but the goal was to have it done by July 30th every year, June 30th every year, which is our end
What-
with it.
Is MASB doing anything? Because they would
Yes.
be the ones who
Yeah, they
would
are.
think,
MASB,
but they're not
MASA,
having everybody take action collectively,
they are all continuing to write letters, pressure, all the things to the.
but not
legislature.
collectively. I mean,
Yeah, they're all doing it together.
Yeah.
no. So they're having you do it,
No, they do it
Leading.
on behalf of.
but they didn't ask us to take any.
They didn't ask every school
That's
district
what I
in the
mean.
state to
Yeah. 'Cause it would-
pass a
It would mean
motion.
more if every school did it, not a organization
Oh, I
said
see.
for the schools.
Yep.
I think,
They
you
could
know,
do a
it's kind of-
PowerPoint.
I think it's kind of fallen off the radar of the press. I don't see it as much in our local press.
No, it's not.
And I think that, when the press catches wind of something, I think if there's more
Pressure.
movement and pressure from us, it makes a story. And then it puts more pressure on, like it's kind of a domino effect. It just seems like it's making our job harder as a school district to get things done. And it's like.
There's no
we're-
question. I think it is, you've got each side pointing at each other and,
Yeah.
and you can tag onto one side or the other, but really it comes down, they don't want to work together.
I think it makes us hesitant, right? We're not willing to put ourselves out there and either move forward with something. You know, the hoist, I mean, that
Right.
was something
Yeah.
that we take a deep breath on because we're just not sure. I mean, are we gonna be okay in our budget because we gotta buy this hoist?
And poor Ginger.
Or we,
Limbo.
It's just, it's illogical. From a financial and budgeting standpoint, and we continue to operate in this illogical environment.
And just, I mean, things is, you know, it might be a little thing to a lot of our families, but school breakfast and lunch, that might be a big deal to many of our families. And if it makes a difference for one of the families, then it's our problem, or it's an issue that we should really, I appreciated the communication about, hey, heads up, there might be some financial ramifications at the family level, but this is kind of silly.
Are you, making any recommendations that we,
I mean, whatever we need, I'm happy to, I love writing letters. You know, I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if it's something that we can bring up at our joint meeting, if that's too far in advance. Like, I'd like to think that by September 29th, there would be something. I don't know what the answer is, but I think that as a board, we can do something.
Yeah, and the key for this is not a partisan commentary. This is just a logical financial planning item. So I think it's probably worth it. I mean, we're having all of our local schools, we're getting together for this joint meeting. I think we should at least carve out a spot on that agenda to have a discussion about that.
my guess is by then, they're gonna have this plane landed, because
But,
what,
but it's
October-
gonna be the same problem a year
Yeah.
from now. This isn't just a one and done, I mean, so I guess I would go even so far as to, maybe there's a hungry reporter at Channel 3 who wants to hunt this one down. I mean, it's illogical. It's creating a ton of angst and extra work for every school district in the state, and it gets brushed under the rug every year. So,
something where we may make a joint motion
Yeah.
of the four Battle Creek
I
districts to move the date from October 1st to June 30th, or?
well, whatever the date, just pick 8/8,
Right.
but make it
But
the same.
Yeah,
If
so
they're-
we're not
Yeah.
living in limbo.
Um,
reality.
Might administration,
Yes.
look
Yeah,
at
I'll
that a
look
little bit?
for, see if I can find some sample motions that are already potentially created.
And then I will take that to the next president's meeting and
There probably is.
see if the other boards are interested in supporting it, and that might be something that we could then do as a, four joint boards, at that meeting. Anything further?
I was just gonna say, and then they could see if the other ISD ones would wanna join in. Not just the four, but the whole county,
Yeah,
presumably, through the
I think it
ISD
would
join
be-
in.
The 12 of them,
So you want to speak to the superintendents at your next meeting?
yeah. We meet Friday.
Oh, good, okay. Yeah, and I'm happy, like, if there's anything that I can do, and, like, I do love writing.
I'm glad you do, because
I love writing.
Oh, I thought you said fighting.
Oh, no, no, writing.
all right, we are going to adjourn at 7:20 PM. Good night, and thank you to the audience for coming.